Hello, Mysteries About True History's fans. Welcome to Riddles, Puzzles, and Problems, where I and Murgatroyd invite you, the listener, to solve a series of brain-teasing riddles, puzzles, and problems. See if you have what it takes to be a problem solver like Max and Molly, or just play along for the fun of it. Either way, we're going to give your brain a nice little workout. We begin today's adventure like we often do, with a riddle. Here goes. I am conducted on rails with cars for a tail. I run on steam, gas, or electricity, but never a sail. Any idea what the answer could be? Let's break down the riddle piece by piece to figure it out together. I am conducted on rails. Conducted. What things are conducted? An orchestra has a conductor. But do orchestras perform on rails? Nope. Orchestra perform on stages. What else? Did you say electricity? But wait, doesn't the second part of the riddle say, I run on steam, gas, or electricity, but never a sail? It would be a pretty unproblem solver riddle to have the answer in the riddle. Let's look at the next phrase. I am conducted on rails with cars for a tail. Cars? We all know what cars are and where they drive. On roads, not rails. And how could cars make a tail? Unless they're a certain type of car that doesn't drive on roads. Have you figured it out? Let's see if there's any more clues we can use. I run on steam, gas, or electricity, but never a sail. So, what has a conductor, runs on a rail, has a long tail of cars, and uses steam, gas, or electricity for power, but never a sail like a boat or a kite? If you said a train, you're right. Trains are the answer to our riddle. And the subject of today's adventure, but not just any train. Today, you're going to help me stop the troublemaking trolls from sabotaging the Transcontinental Railroad. The Transcontinental Railroad was a rail line built from 1863 to 1869 that ran from Council Bluffs, Iowa, to the San Francisco Bay. It was called Transcontinental because you could travel coast to coast across the continental United States. Now, I know what you're thinking. Iowa is the middle of the country. How is traveling from Iowa to California coast to coast? It's because a route from the East Coast to Iowa had already been built. The Continental Railroad, also known as the Pacific Railroad, finished the job. I'd gotten word the trolls planned to sabotage the Transcontinental Railroad by messing with the track gauge. What's a track gauge? Why, it's the distance between the two rails of a railroad track. The Transcontinental Railroad was built in standard gauge, which is 4 feet, 8.5 inches between the rails. A sudden change could cause a train to derail. To check the track gauge, problem solvers were dispatched on velocipedes, which aren't some cool new dinosaur. They're old hand-operated cars that ride on railroad tracks and could read the track gauge. I'd been assigned a 100-mile section of the 1,900 miles of track. And it wasn't long before I discovered the trolls had changed the track gauge on my section from 4 feet 8.5 inches to 6 feet 4.5 inches. Potential problem solvers, which is wider, the standard gauge of 4 feet 8.5 inches or the troll gauge of 6 feet 4.5 inches? Did you say the troll gauge is wider? Good job. That meant we had to lessen the width of the part of the tracks the trolls had messed with to match the rest. That also meant figuring out how much wider the trolls made the track, then subtracting that amount. Okay, let's do the math. 6 feet 4.5 inches minus 4 feet 8.5 inches equals what? Before we go any further, let's simplify the equation by converting the feet to inches. How many inches are in a foot? Potential problem solvers. Did you say 12? Great job! And no worries if you didn't know, because you do now. To convert feet to inches, we simply multiply each foot by 12, then add the remaining inches. Let's start with the troll section. 6 feet times 12 equals 72, plus 4.5 inches equals 76.5 inches. That's how many inches wide the trolls made the tracks. Now, let's figure out how many inches wide the tracks are supposed to be. Again, standard gauge is 4 feet, 8.5 inches. 4 feet times 12 equals 48, plus 8.5 inches equals 56.5 inches. Great! Now to find how much wider the trolls made the tracks, we need to subtract 56.5 inches from 76.5 inches. 76.5 inches minus 56.5 inches equals 20 inches. The rails are 20 inches too far apart, which means we need to bring them closer together. Of course, we wanted to move each rail an equal amount. So all we need to do now is move each rail closer together by the same amount. How would we do that, potential problem solvers? Easy! We divided the 20 inches by 2, since there are 2 rails on a railroad track. 20 inches divided by 2 equals 10 inches. By moving each rail 10 inches closer together, we were able to make the track sizes match. The railroad was saved. Nice try, trolls. But if you thought you could beat the problem solvers, you're on the wrong track. So, how'd you do, potential problem solvers? Don't worry if it was a challenge. It's supposed to be. Just go back and listen again and keep trying till you get it. And don't worry, there will be plenty more opportunities to prove you have what it takes to be a problem solver too. I'll be back next Tuesday with another episode of Riddles, Puzzles, and Problems. And be sure to join Max and Molly for another episode of Mysteries About True Histories every Thursday. See you soon.